Moving on to the NBA. Yo, Powder. It's been 24 hours, but the uh-ohs just keep coming. 24 hours since the bombshell arrests of Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier as part of a massive federal gambling investigation, and 24 hours later, it certainly does not look any better for the association or for Powder himself or Rozier, and especially Chauncey. And there's a new NBA icon that's being dragged into this today because Pablo Torres revealed earlier that Kevin Garnett was one of the number of former athletes who participated in the rigged poker games that were part of Operation Royal Flush, a.k.a. the mobbed-up poker ring that Chauncey Billups was apparently a central part of. Now, to be very clear about this, KG was not named in the indictment. So because he was not named in the indictment, that leads people to believe that he was not in on the cheat, that he might have actually been one of the ones who was cheated. I don't know what happened. I don't know exactly what happened or what his involvement was, but if he was not named in the indictment and he was not arrested, could he have been one of the guys cheated? Maybe. Maybe he could actually legitimately use the Steve Ballmer defense that he was conned.
Look,
like KG's like, they conned me. Except much higher. They conned me. I thought it was a normal poker game. They told me. They told me it was a normal poker game. Listen to me, Powder. Powder, they told me. It was a normal poker game.
You're one of the richest men in America.
Like, we don't know for sure.
You're one of the richest men in America.
But there's very little doubt that Chauncey Billups seemed to be very much in on the cheat. Seemed to be very much a central part of the cheat. I can say that in large part, if you believe this, to a podcast clip from 2023, which resurfaced yesterday. Here is a pro poker player, Matt Berkey, explaining, this is back in 23 now, Berkey explaining that Chauncey's poker game was not on the up and up and had not been for years.
This must have been like 5 years ago, 2019-ish, I think, 4 years ago, where there was this game. It started in LA and then it came to Vegas for a few days, and it was all built around Chauncey Billups. And I had heard about the game, and the person who told me about it was like, "Look, I know the game runners. I'm telling you 100% this game is on the up and up." And I was like, "Well, I know a lot of the people that are involved, and I'm telling you 100% that it is not on the up and up."
Yeah.
That's wild. So apparently in gambling circles, this was common knowledge years ago. This Chauncey Billups poker ring may in fact have existed for years in multiple locations, theoretically centered around using Chauncey's star power to lure in other players. And if that were the case, then absolutely not a legit game. The game was actually unbelievably illegitimate, it seems. I talked about it yesterday, but it still blows me away. Not that this mobbed up, high stakes, underground, illegal poker game was rigged. That doesn't blow me away, but it was how it was rigged. X-ray machines built into tables, special contact lenses to read pre-marked face-down cards, secret cameras in card trays, automatic shufflers stacking the deck against certain players. It's like these guys were on a mission to find the answer to how many different ways can we cheat a card game. I mean, these guys thought of everything. However, if you remember yesterday, I laid out that there were two separate but related federal investigations and how Chauncey was only related to the poker ring and not the insider info prop betting scheme, right? Remember that? Well, it turns out that might not be true either. Because when you look at the indictment for the prop betting scheme, it looks incredibly like co-conspirator 8 is actually Chauncey Billups. It looks like Chauncey may actually be tied up in both investigations. And that would be a huge problem for both Chauncey and my dude Powder, if he really is co-conspirator 8. Because co-conspirator 8 apparently tipped off somebody else from the scheme that the Blazers would be tanking and not playing their best players in March of 2023. Yo, Powder, once again. Uh-oh! Man, that's bad. That's bad. And for Powder, that's so much worse. So much worse than just the poker ring. As wild as that poker ring is, it seems like that would be absolutely banishment for life territory. Something Powder loves to do. For life. For life. For Powder. By Powder. By Powder. For life. For life. Especially if there's any proof that Chauncey in any way profited from sharing that information. But even just on its face, an NBA head coach, an active NBA head coach, obviously cannot be tipping off dudes involved in a gambling scheme about the team tanking games and resting a bunch of their best players. I mean, that's an absolute disaster for you, Powder. That casts doubt on absolutely everything. I mean, that's why it's every league's worst nightmare. So, of course, Powder is perking up right about now. Now, when most people went back and they listened to what I assume was Chauncey's final Blazers press conference, this is incredible. There were gambling references. As if all of this weren't absurd enough, here is Billups actually using a poker term on the podium the other night before this bombshell dropped.
No, you know, I don't, that pressure thing is nothing to me, man. I do the best I can and let the chips fall where they may. You know that about me by now, quick.
Oh, we know it by now, dude. Oh, we definitely know it by now. We know all about how you let the chips fall, but not necessarily where they may, right? That's not your deal. That's not how you roll. You use cameras and x-ray machines and rigged shufflers and special contact lenses to make sure that the chips go exactly where you want them to go. You're not actually into letting the chips fall where they may, right? That's the whole point of the scheme. That's the scheme. That's how the scheme works. Man, I'm surprised Chauncey didn't just start that presser by saying, hey, man, we got to raise the stakes around here. We're really going to up the ante this season. Chauncey should have been like, you know what? We're going to push all of our chips to the center of the table this year. Hey, man, you think that old geriatric with the Cowboys is all in? I'm the one who's all in. We're just playing with house money. And no way we crap out. Trust me. Well, unless the feds snatch me up tomorrow morning, then that'd be one brutal beat. Am I right? Look, I get that you can't let this guy coach anymore, but now that he was arraigned and released, can we just let Chauncey keep doing press conferences? You know, throw him out there for the pregame presser. Blazers hosting the Warriors. You know, like our loss to the T-Wolves was a really bad beat. We started the hand game off great, like we were looking at Big Slick. But then the Wolves just kept hanging around to see the flop. And they hit their gut shot straight draw at the river. I knew our goose was cooked when Finch check raised us in the fourth quarter, but we were already pot committed. Hopefully we'll get better cards effort tonight against Golden State.
Chips fall where they may. You know that about me by now, quick.
That's incredible. I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may. You know that about me by now? Dude,
the chips fall where they may. You know
the whole
that about
point
me
of
by
this
now,
scheme was not to let the chips fall where they may, but rather to direct them where we wanted them to go. That's an incredible statement to make right before the feds came in. Man, you know that about me. Everybody knows that about me. Powder knows that about me. This guy's going to be hauled out in front of Powder. Powder's going to be like, hey, Chauncey, what do you have to say for yourself? He's going to be like, yo, Powder, come on, man. You know I just let the chips fall where they may. You know that, Powder. Come on, P.
By now, quick.
Come on, P. Don't be like that. Incredible. And there will be more where that came from. I'll wait for Pablo to come up with something else. KG. So what about KG? That's really interesting. So I'm not going to speculate. I don't know. I just know that that name has come out. So he was not a part of the indictment. They didn't swoop in on him. He wasn't arrested. Does that mean he was one of the fish? Does that mean he was one of the marks? No. No. I mean, they were using famous people to draw the other suckers. Face cards. Face cards. Shockingly, you know who else got dragged into this? Or whose name was also involved? Paul Pierce. No way. Paul wouldn't do anything like that. Allegedly. Paul Pierce in a shady poker game? No way. No way. KG, the fact that you're in the middle of this somehow, some way, I guess anything really is possible. Anything's possible!
You're one of the richest men in America.
Crazy.
And then let the chips fall where they may. You know that about me by now, quick.
It's one thing, even if he had just said that and stopped. I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may. Full stop. But the emphasis at the end, man, you know that about me, quick.
About me by now, quick.
You know that about me by now, quick. Incredible. And I think that's where everybody's missing the point. There's a lot of people saying, hey, man, he used a gambling reference in his last presser. No, what he said was, I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may. You know that about me by now, quick.
And then let the chips
The
fall
hell
where
you
they may.
are,
You know that about
dude.
me by now,
That's
quick.
why we're here. That's why the FBI is here. It's incredible. As much as people think that's funny, you have no idea how funny that is. Give that more credit than it's getting, is what I'm saying.